I think if we look at the relationships that we've got with minority ethnic communities, I think there is distrust, and I think we've got to be honest and open about that. And it goes back to a whole range of incidents, from if you look at the murder of Stephen Lawrence, you look at the more recent events as well. And I think there is lots of learning to do. We need to look at how we police our communities. We need to look at how we recruit. We need to change, and part of that change comes from people joining us from different communities, but it also means we have to really critically look at how we police and change the way that we do things to build that trust and confidence in communities.
If there's racism in society, then by definition there must be racism in policing. So I don't deny that there's racism in policing. What I would say is that policing does absolutely everything that it can not to tolerate that racism. But we're not there yet, we're still on a journey, and that's why we want the service to become more representative, so that we've got that cultural awareness to be able to move us forward. Black people are still acutely underrepresented in policing. It's something that we genuinely want to remedy, but there's an issue that makes that difficult. Part of it being our history, which with the black community has not always been fantastic. There are issues that people see every day in the media, negative stories around policing. If one of our officers makes a serious error or gets something wrong or does something that is completely unacceptable, that's often picked up by the media, whereas the hundreds of good things that we do every day often aren't. So that skews the view that people have of policing.
I think we've got to be honest that I think those communities, we've had really poor relations with them, and we've not worked hard enough to make sure that we encourage them to join policing. I think it's almost a vicious circle. They don't see themselves in policing, so don't want to join. Because they don't join, then we're not representative as well. And we've got to change that attitude and perception. I think we've got to be really honest about Stop Search and have that open conversation. I think the reality is, the stats show that we do stop more black people, and particularly young black men, than any other sort of group. And we don't understand it. Some of it might be linked to where crime takes place or the nature of crime, but I think we've got to be open and honest, and some of that might be the culture of our officers as well. I think the important thing is that we are open about that there is disproportionality, and we've got to understand it and do something about it.
So it's a really difficult issue, one that the service recognises and one that we want to put right and improve on to get a better relationship with the black community. One way to help us deal with that issue is to actually join the service, to make us more culturally aware, to remove some of that stereotyping.
I know certainly when I joined, I had a lot of friends who would stop talking to me and obviously moved away from me. But that hasn't stopped me from becoming an officer, but I've also gone on to recruit a lot more officers from those communities.
When I joined the job, my friends and my family were really concerned about me becoming a police officer. Where I grew up in Manchester's Moss Side, we didn't always at that point, some 27, 28 years ago, have a favourable view of policing. And I did lose some friends. Fortunately for me, I went on and gained many, many more friends in the service. And after what for me was a relatively short period, my family realised becoming a police officer didn't stop me being a human being, and that as an individual, I still remain the same person and the same brother, uncle, relative to them, son, as I'd always been. The harder you work, the more effort you put in, the more committed that you are to the service, the better you can do. There is no free ticket, so you will have to work hard, but if you work hard, you can get promoted, but not just get promoted, you can move laterally. So you want to go on and be a firearms officer, put the effort in, go and pass the firearms course. You want to become a detective, get out there, get involved, you know, be involved in serious crime jobs in terms of investigating them, and prove that you've got an aptitude towards that kind of work, and you can basically do one of a whole host of different jobs within the service.
I think policing has become, it's a more diverse workforce, open to ideas in terms of having that difference in the organisation, more tolerant and acceptable of difference amongst our staff, and it's needed because of the diverse communities we police today.
Police has changed massively for the better during my service. Well-being of our staff is at the forefront of everything that we do, and you're looked after as an individual. We're much more inclusive and genuinely inclusive, so it's not lip service to inclusion and diversity, it's a genuine commitment to that. We've massively increased the number of Black, Asian, minority ethnic officers that we have. We've massively increased the number of female officers that we have. And if you're gay in the service, then you can genuinely feel like you can be your authentic self and come to work without worrying that somebody's going to judge you.